Hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to our Crypto 101 and non-cash asset fundraising webinar. I'm just going to give everybody a couple of minutes to filter on in. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday. Welcome, welcome. Full disclosure, this is my second cup of coffee today, so we may have a very energetic presentation. While we're waiting, I'd love for everybody to put in the chat who they're with, where they're tuning in from, and whether they are Team Coffee or Team Tea. Welcome, Claudia. I like it. Unorthodox. Team Diet Coke. Welcome, Tyler. Colorado. Team Tea. That's okay. Nobody's perfect. I'm just joking. I love a good cup of tea, but it's the high test right now. Yeah, Rachel. I know they drink coffee down south. Mr. Wood. I know you're a fan. That's okay, Tyler. I'm brave right now with the second cup. Usually I switch to green tea after a certain point of the day. I'm sure I'll pay for it later. Right? Just like Beth, right? Yes, Scott, you have to represent. It would have been catastrophic if you'd said tea. You would have shaken the foundation of my worldview, so thank you. Another Beth with another prudent response. So it looks like we've got people from all over the place. We are starting to get even more folks coming in. As we're doing this, just a few housekeeping items before we get ready to rumble. This webinar is being recorded. It will go out to all of you in the next few days. Please drop any questions in the chat as we go, and I'll do my best to answer them towards the end of the presentation. If for some reason you don't get your question answered, please reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat as well, and you can let me know if you've got any further questions. I do want to give a quick introduction of myself before we get started. My name is Ryan Fox. I joined the Giving Block after being part of an NFT group called the Flower Girl. Some of you may know what that is, others not. It was an art group, essentially, that was receiving funds from the sale of the art. Everybody who owned a piece of art was a member of the group, and they donated monthly through the Giving Block. So that's actually how I ended up here. I come from crypto. I use it myself. It's a topic very near and dear to my heart. I love helping nonprofits adopt this totally world-changing and life-changing technology. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing here. Oh, Saskatoon. I had a good friend from Nunavut, which I think is a little bit further north, and I think he would have said the same thing, coffee all the way. Okay. So we'll kick this off. Today is my goal is to get everybody comfortable with some crypto basics and a high-level overview of non-cash asset fundraising in general. Let's dive right in. I'll give you a brief summary of who we are. The Giving Block is the leading crypto philanthropy platform connecting nonprofits and non-cash asset donors. We're the best at two things: equipping nonprofits with the technology, strategy, and support to securely and effectively fundraise these assets, and two, empowering donors to easily give these assets to the nonprofits they love worldwide. We developed the first all-in-one fundraising solution to securely accept crypto, stock, and donor-advised fund donations. What really makes us unique, though, is that we provide expert education, strategic guidance, and technical support to maximize fundraising outcomes. Our unique giving platform connects donors with thousands of vetted nonprofit organizations, and it all happens in a few clicks. We are actually going to launch a poll here. Hold on just a second. So let's start. I'd love to have everybody let us know what your biggest priority in fundraising is right now. Just pop an answer in the poll. We'll just take a second so everybody can get an answer in. looks like we're seeing some new donor acquisition, some revenue diversification. Attracting younger donors seems to be a close second to new donor acquisition. So it seems like folks have new donors on the mind. Diversifying revenue, again, sort of falls into that same bucket. Just give one more moment and then I will end the poll. There's just, I think, a few of you that have not voted. If you want to vote, just take a moment, quickly do it now. Okay, let's end this poll. So as you can see, new donor acquisition seems to be at the absolute top of mind. No surprise in 2023, it's kind of an uncertain year. And then attracting younger donors and diversifying revenue, which probably go hand in hand, right? Okay. So not a huge surprise there. And that works out really well because everybody who responded to that is going to take away something from today's webinar that will help them with their goal. So all of you who just responded to that, you're going to get a gem today, some sort of leg up that you didn't come in here with that will help you take some steps towards that goal. And let's look at what some of those gems will come from. We're going to talk about a few things today. So this is a quick outline. We'll start with fundraising non-cash assets. Then we'll get more into the opportunity of crypto stock and donor advised funds. We'll talk about how it works. We'll go over some philanthropy trends we're seeing, some interesting insights from our annual report. And then finally, we'll have some key takeaways. So let's get into it here. We'll open up a little bit by talking about the state of philanthropy in general. This, I know, can be a little bit of a wet blanket up front, but I promise we're going to bring the energy back. It is true, though, that right now, when you adjust for inflation, giving is down 10.5%. The number of donors are down, and the high amounts of inflation, depending on which month or which week you ask, of course, it's high or low. But in general, the trend is that inflation is putting individual giving at risk. It's just making it harder for people to part with their dollars. So why diversify fundraising? This is probably a question that several of our participants can answer since that's what they're here for, but let's talk a little bit about it. There is an element of future-proofing to this that prevents you from essentially from running out of steam, running out of potential new donors. We have all of these funds locked up in donor advised funds, 250 billion, 80% of the money goes ungranted every year, and nonprofits are not talking to their base about it. They're not talking to their donors about it. They're just relying on the donors to know to give. But just like we see with any effective marketing or advertising, being the nonprofit to talk about it and remind them is a game changer. Major gifts and planned giving are the most recession-proof giving channels. But when you accept modern non-cash, you also build a future-proof program. And the idea is to build it with this younger, high net worth donor base, right? For those of you who are here for younger donors. But again, you must ask. It is not enough to put up a button and walk away. It is not enough to be able to accept these things. You have to talk about it. It's so critical, and it's the thing that's often overlooked. They don't have, these younger donors, they don't have wealth advisors. They don't have tax advisors. They're probably trading on their phones on Robinhood, right? So there's nobody that's talking about tax advantages. And that means that they can only give these tax advantage ways when a nonprofit asks them about it. So let's talk about specifically what some of these assets and giving methods are. So we'll take a second and launch another quick poll here. For all the folks attending today, what do you currently accept? Are you accepting stock? Are you accepting crypto? Are you accepting donor advised funds? Some, none, all, both, none of the above. All right. I think we've got most of our answers here. Just another 10 seconds. Anybody who wants to pop in an answer? All right. So as you can see, donor advised fund is the clear winner here. It looks like a large number of our participants today come from nonprofits that are currently accepting donor advised funds. Surprisingly, I think this is the first time I've seen this. Second place is all of the above. So we have at least 5 participants today that are currently accepting stock, crypto, and donor advised funds, which is very exciting. And then we do have some accepting none at all, 1 accepting stock. What we don't have is anybody who's just accepting cryptocurrency. So an interesting crowd today. So we're seeing some use of these asset classes for giving, but there may also be some room for improvement. So before we talk about why these things are so individually important, let's talk about what they are. So what is crypto? I will try to keep this pretty high level. The easiest way for me to explain cryptocurrency is that it is a digital store of value, like digital money. It almost is going to be a close cousin to the same money that you spend when you swipe your Chase card or your Wells Fargo card, your Bank of America card, except that instead of being tracked by one bank, it is a part of a wider network. To transfer units of cryptocurrency, users need a digital wallet, and that'll allow them to send and receive crypto. In a basic way, you can think of a digital wallet as like a bank account that you own yourself instead of paying a bank to maintain it for you. One of the most incredible things about crypto is that you can send it anywhere in the world in just a few seconds. If I send crypto from my wallet, it can reach somebody in the Ukraine, it can reach somebody in Uganda almost instantly, as long as they have an internet connection. The blockchain for a cryptocurrency is just a public, unchangeable record of all the transactions happening in that currency. And instead of being located in one place, it's distributed widely across all of the users. So there are different accounts in different places that allow everybody to keep track of where the transactions are. Now, the number of crypto users might surprise some of you. There is a massive user base. There are 300 million active users. As a comparison, the United States has 330 million people in it. So just allow that to sink in for a moment, right? And imagine if almost the entirety, 90% of the United States was actively philanthropic and had tax-deductible assets to give. Believe it or not, just on Coinbase, which is just one crypto exchange out of many, there are 108 million verified registered users. That's larger than Charles Schwab. That's larger than Fidelity. They have 33.9 and 83.4 million respectively. So the number of active crypto users dwarfs the number of active stock users. Just think about that for a moment, those of you who just accept stock right now. So this is a ripe donor demographic to tap into. These users are super active. The scale may, again, stagger a few of you. Stablecoin settlements, those are cryptocurrencies that are pegged to the value of the US dollar. Those surpassed $7 trillion in 2022. MasterCard had 2.2 trillion. So just to give you an idea of the scope of these transactions, in 2021, Ethereum, a popular cryptocurrency, moved over $11 trillion, which passed Visa at 10.4 trillion. So I know a lot of you are used to the idea of crypto investments like stock, where you buy and hold, but there's a very, very active user base of people exchanging this as money. Let's go a little bit deeper into this. So we'll talk about who is using cryptocurrency. 94% of crypto users are millennial and Gen Z. 83% of millennial millionaires are currently investing in crypto. The average user's income is about $111,000, much higher than the national average. I think it might be close to double the US national average. Not only are they young, they also tend to be wealthy, tech savvy, and financially literate. And they're often pretty engaged with their social media, so they can be found. Many nonprofits have a donor base that's slowly aging out. So an opportunity like this provides nonprofits with multiple generations of untapped potential and stewarding. Crypto donors are generous, young, and wealthy. Fidelity, in fact, did an incredible study last year where they found that 45% of their surveyed crypto users were giving over were giving over $1,000 a year, which was, I think, almost double what we saw for stock. So the people in this category tend to give and give more. The average crypto donor is in their 30s, which is probably quite a bit different from the age of many of your existing donors. We often hear nonprofits say, I don't have any donors in their 20s or 30s, or even on the younger side. That's totally normal because most nonprofits don't, right? A lot of your current donors are baby boomers, Gen Xers. They're writing checks. They're calling in to make a stock donation. The whole point of accepting crypto is to break into a new donor demographic, a group that's not currently donating to you. So these tend to be net new donors and net new dollars. We're finding that a lot of these donors are only giving in crypto because of the massive tax benefit. So these are probably not your current donors. These are people searching on Google, donate Bitcoin, donate crypto. They're looking for a place to make that charitable gift. For a lot of these younger generations, a lot of their net worth and wealth is stored in crypto. It's a huge convenience factor for them to donate crypto. And it's also a huge tax incentive. The result of these factors is a higher than average donation size for your crypto donors, which makes this an excellent way to raise the average gift size for your organization. If you could build out a lab perfect ideal donor, it would be a crypto donor. And if you steward this perfect donor properly, you can activate and retain them for years to come. Let's face it, the great wealth transfer has started. It is underway. The millennials and Gen Zs are going to be inheriting around $70 trillion. So you want to meet these donors where they are and where they want to be, and be ready and able to accept the assets that they want to give you. It's also no surprise that cryptocurrency is the best performing asset class. I know we've seen a lot of crazy headlines. Do not let the headlines fool you. Bitcoin has been declared dead hundreds of times, as in Bitcoin is over. There's no Bitcoin anymore. Nobody's ever going to buy it again. That's just nothing new to the crypto industry. We've seen huge fluctuations, 30% more than 16 times. And yet, if you look at this chart, you can see that Bitcoin is almost double the next highest item on the list, which is also a cryptocurrency. It's just about double the NASDAQ, and everything else is left in the dust, right? Bitcoin year to date is the best performing asset on the books. That helps drive some of this big tax incentive that I keep talking about. So when you donate cryptocurrency, you're donating in a tax efficient way. The math will tell you that even though it's down at the moment from its peak, it's up high the last few years, higher than most stocks. Millions of people are still way up on their investment. The chart shows you exactly how far up. It shows us that volatility is not always a bad thing. We're still roughly around where we were last year, and yet year to date, we're up over 60%. So we're blowing parts of the traditional market out of the water with cryptocurrency. People want to donate it. In fact, they're Googling it more than ever. So if you check out some of these Google Analytics, in 2020, we had way more people Googling donate stocks than donate Bitcoin. And every year since then, we've seen the gap close. So in 2022, donate stocks and donate Bitcoin are just about equal now. At that current trajectory, you should see donate Bitcoin passing donate stocks in the near future. Relative to the amount of nonprofits that allow donors to donate stock, crypto donors, they just don't have as many options. We work with over 2,000 nonprofits to accept crypto and fundraise crypto, and yet there are many more who accept stock donations. So you're in a much less competitive market, meaning that you don't have as many organizations competing for the attention of these crypto donors. There are a lot more crypto users for every nonprofit than the other way around for stock, right? Also, let's take a moment and talk about donor advised funds. So we've seen this become a huge philanthropy trend in 2023. A donor advised fund allows donors to establish and fund an account by making an irrevocable tax-deductible contribution to a charitable sponsor, and they're self-directed. So a donor advised fund, or DAF, is an option that's grown exponentially in recent years. So this is a chart from the National Philanthropic Trust's recent annual report. These are some massive numbers. Contributions to DAFs in 2021 totaled $72.67 billion. It was the highest ever. The number passes the revised 2020 value of almost $50 billion and is a 46.6% year-over-year increase. There is a lot of money locked up in DAFs. But the grant payouts have been increasing. This is what we want. We want that money put to use. 2021's payout rate was 27.3%, the highest grant payout rate on record. And grants from DAFs to charitable organizations reached a new high at almost $46 billion. Charitable assets in all DAFs totaled $234 billion in 2021, just to show you the potential for charitable support that a DAF donor can provide. Let's also talk a little bit about stock donations. So we saw from that poll earlier, a good number of you are currently accepting stock. It is the most common non-cash asset charities accept. It's definitely been the most traditionally popular. There's a huge opportunity here, right? Not just crypto, but here there was over $100 billion donated in stock just last year. And just to get a feel for who is donating what, this is just a little insight into what donors have to give. The market size is certainly a lot higher for stocks than for crypto, and the number of users is almost, well, a little bit more than double. So proportionally, we're seeing a little bit of a difference. In 2022, there was almost as much crypto donated as stocks, 69 million. And the average gift size for crypto is holding stable around 6,500, whereas for stock, it varies pretty wildly between 5,000 and 10,000. They're also given by different groups, right? And that's at the heart of what we keep coming back to here. So there are different generations and they're giving in different ways. Baby boomers definitely prefer stocks. These are the folks that are going to call, they're going to write, they're going to take the extra steps to make these donations. Gen X also donates stocks, and they're also more likely to take some of those extra steps. Millennials, and I say this as a member, I am a millennial, millennials tend to be a little bit more fickle. Millennials will donate crypto and stocks, but they're not necessarily going to call or write in. If they have the urge to give and you can't meet it, then they may simply move on. We may simply move on. We see the same thing for Gen Z. They are giving crypto, they are giving stocks, they're investing in both, but the way that they're giving is different. And just again, to look at some of these totals, I think it's compelling enough that it bears repeating. Your national average size for a cash gift is around $128. You have stock donations averaging between $5,000 and $10,000, and crypto donations coming in at $6,500. So you can see that either non-cash asset is going to be dramatically higher than a cash gift. Let's talk a little bit about why. I keep talking about tax deductibility. So this is a little bit of a breakdown of the benefits by donation type. A donor can give up to 30% more with a non-cash gift. And these crypto and stock gifts will primarily be major gifts. So this is a really efficient, lucrative area for a nonprofit to focus on. Your gift is so much bigger when you don't have to pay capital gains. So this is a big part of the tax incentives when donating crypto or stock. Both of these are considered property assets by the IRS. So any capital gains can be sent to the charity. This is both extremely tax efficient and better to give than cash. It's a win-win for the donor and for the nonprofit. The donor gets to do more good, gives funds that would otherwise end up going to the government. That's their capital gains. And the nonprofit gets funds sent to a mission that we all care about deeply. It helps a little to illustrate this. This always surprises me when I see it. And I know it all too well. Again, I'm a crypto user, so I have these assets. But if I were to give $1 million to the charity of my choice, and I gave it as crypto and they took it as crypto, they're getting $1 million gift. There's no taxes involved in that transaction. But if the nonprofit, the charity turns around to me and says, you know what, we just can't accept it that way. Can you cash it out to dollars first and then give us those dollars? Now more than a quarter of my donation is going to go to taxes. And that's assuming I know. Even worse, I might give the whole $1 million and then find out about the tax bill at the end of the year. So it's important to see how much of an incentive there is built into the tax system for people to give in this way. So who fundraises with this stuff, right? I think nonprofits probably come in here thinking that this might be something all the way on the edge, but as you can see here, it's not. Some of the logos that we work with, hospital foundations, community foundations, other humanitarian organizations, you'd be surprised how many well-known nonprofits are already accepting crypto. We work with over 2,000 orgs from St. Jude and United Way Worldwide to your local smaller size nonprofits, land trusts, ones with regional reaches at most. Nearly 75% of our organizations are small to medium-sized nonprofits. We have built hundreds of successful crypto fundraising programs that are raising over 6 figures a year. So the key takeaway here is that with all sizes and that have realized the benefit of diversifying revenue, and they're starting to cater toward the younger digital native philanthropist. Where's it all going? Let's look a little bit deeper at some of these incentives. Even though so many individuals hold stock in crypto, again, not everybody is tax savvy and knowledgeable about the most tax efficient way to give. A lot of us are trading on our phones, on apps, and not with brokers and advisors. So education is the key to unlocking these larger gifts. As we continue to expand and share the tax incentive of donating crypto all throughout the ecosystem, and as crypto donors are learning to become more tax savvy, the amount of crypto donors is accelerating upward. The great wealth transfer I mentioned earlier, it's already starting to happen. You can see it right on this chart. And it'll accelerate even more in the future. 83% of millennial millionaires have crypto, and there's 70 trillion that we're going to see in the hands of these Gen Z and millennials with windfall wealth transfers, estate gifts, and inheritance gifts. A lot of this money is predicted to inflow to the cryptocurrency market. So let's take a break from the theory and actually look at how it works. Now that everybody's excited about the possibilities, we'll see how one of these actually happens, one of these donations actually happen. So this is our donation platform. It's mobile optimized. It's a very simple snippet of code that you copy and paste to get set up on your donation page. This allows your donor to select crypto, stock, or card. This is the specific crypto experience. I think is probably pretty self-explanatory here. This is our stock experience. So if the donor wants to give stock, if you're familiar with handling stock donations and how labor intensive they can be for the donor, this is a game changer for these younger donors who now can do self-service. So the donor can give stock in just a couple of clicks. It'll all be completed in under a minute. They don't need to call their broker. Everything is handled digitally. You as the nonprofit don't have to do anything either. It is a glorious and time-efficient way to process stock gifts that will be a welcome reprieve for anybody who's currently doing this manually. We also integrate with Chariot. So that allows donor-advised funds donations in 3 clicks. So I'm sure some of you in the audience, and you can drop this in the chat if you've had to do this before, if you've gotten a donor-advised fund gift, you then have to work backwards doing a Sherlock Holmes to try and figure out who sent it. So that can be incredibly labor-intensive. All of that is bypassed here. So both the donor and the nonprofit have a really easy experience accepting donor-advised funds. We also have a dashboard on the back end. So you'll be able to see all of the donor information using our platform. You get transaction information, reporting. We integrate directly with most CRMs, which makes this a beautifully easy process. This data lives right alongside your current donation data. There's no extra steps or redundancy. It just slides right into your existing processes. We also automate the tax receipts at the time of donation. And that's a part of the donor file on the back end. So if a donor comes back to you during tax season, you can resend it with a click of a button. Not having to hunt all these things down gives a lot of time back to your team. speaking of saving time, we do have a ton of integrations, and I alluded to this a moment ago. So these are all throughout the crypto and tech ecosystem. We do have integrations with Salesforce, Omatic, Zapier, Monday.com, just to name a few, to make things, again, easier and more efficient. It's that simple, right? There's not a whole lot about it that's complicated. Let's take a look at a little bit more on the trend side and break down some of the philanthropy trends that we're seeing this year, now that you know what all these things are and how they can be donated. So right now, we're seeing social impact on the rise. In 2022, we saw a leap in donations in April and June. April's donations were attributed to donors wanting to make an impact in Ukraine during the humanitarian crisis. In June, our LGBTQIA+ nonprofits saw a huge increase in donations. Let me say that again, a massive outswell of support for LGBTQIA+. Young donors who gave crypto and stocks through the giving block are showing that they give to causes where they can make a noticeable impact with a cause that they care about. In 2023, we're already seeing this to be true after the Syria and Turkey earthquakes. NFT creators, like the ones that I was, the group that I was a part of when I came in, have leapt to show generosity, and we predict that these giving habits will continue throughout the year. We've also, I apologize, I did not update this. It was not launched today. At the end of last month, we launched our Maui Emergency Response Fund to help with the crisis in Maui. So Shift4's CEO, Jared Isaacman, that's the gentleman who went into space as a civilian pilot. There's a Netflix special about it. He flies fighter jets for fun. He's an interesting character. He just announced a $500,000 match for contributions made into that fund to help nonprofits working on the ground in Maui. In general, and again, the theme of all of this over and over is that asking for these gifts, asking for non-cash assets as gifts, is winning out. This year, reminding your audience that crypto and stocks are an option can be what makes successful programs stand out, can be the difference. The most successful clients on the giving block are those who view crypto and stock donors as a new donor demographic to work with, instead of just putting up the button and passively waiting for donors to find them. In 2023, we see more nonprofits actively fundraising non-cash assets and looking to this new donor demographic for impactful major gifts. Nonprofits are also pouring more resources into the tools that will help them spend their time more effectively and more efficiently. I don't know if, I would guess most of you have probably started playing around with ChatGPT. We're now a little ways into the AI revolution, such as it is. It is mind-boggling, but the technology moves at an incredibly fast rate. You want to learn and embrace these new technologies before they become expected, before they become commonplace, and before you find yourself behind the curve. You need to skate where the puck is going. Full disclosure, I didn't play hockey. I did go to school in Canada, though, so I can use hockey metaphors. You need to skate to where the puck is going. You need to meet these donors where they are, how they want to give. Face-to-face meeting with your donors will always be important, but as teams are looking to expand and scale up and do more tech, it's what's helping them hit those goals quicker, not more face-to-face meetings. A big part of this, and what's replaced a lot of that, is social media. Direct social impact. So social impact is huge. This is huge in the crypto communities as donors want their donations to be known. So many donations have been coming in, especially from NFT projects to help with certain kinds of crises. You have regulators in Washington pushing through policy, corporations granting out money from their CSR initiatives. It's a big priority across all the industries. Just some highlights from our annual report. We saw we finally reached $125 million in crypto donations since our inception in 2018. Even in a down year, quote unquote down year for crypto in 2022, we signed up a record over 1,000 nonprofits. Ethereum, which is a crypto I mentioned earlier, their founder, Vitalik Buterin, made a massive charitable contribution through the giving block worth $9.4 million to the University of Maryland last year to help research a research initiative on public health. We did see that USDC, so this is a stable coin I mentioned earlier, was the most donated asset. This is very telling. For folks who don't know crypto, this may not mean a lot, but it tells you that rather than just holding volatile assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, we now see people holding and maintaining their wealth in cryptocurrency, in stable dollars, and keeping their wealth in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. We processed USDC, US dollar coin donations worth 22.7 million to charities. That was followed very closely by Ethereum and Bitcoin. If you want to learn more about some of these data points, you can actually check out our full annual report on our website at thegivingblock.com. And so now we'll try to sum all of this up into some useful takeaways so that everybody gets that gem that I promised them earlier, that little nugget that they can take home with them. So we have been doing this, again, since 2018. We have the experience of seeing what works and what doesn't, and we just want to share with you some takeaways of how you can take this and make it actionable and run a successful crypto philanthropy program. So first and foremost, you want to make giving easy. You want to make crypto easy for your team. There are 3 things to keep in mind. I'll say it again, make crypto easy for your team. Revenue is not the same as ROI. So you shouldn't have to hire an additional person on your team to help. Instead, you should just be able to outsource everything to us. We're offering the product and the technology to make this really easy for your team. We automate the receipting, we convert to US dollars, we handle the reporting, and we act as an extension of your development team. You don't have to handle all the complexities of crypto because we have it covered for you. Number 2, don't neglect your donor needs. This is a non-traditional and new way of fundraising. You need to meet these donors where they are and talk to them the way that they want to be talked to. Number 3, don't just accept non-cash assets, fundraise them. We're extremely focused on helping you fundraise. We don't want you, it's a joke we always make, but it bears repeating. We don't want you spelling Bitcoin as 2 words. We don't want you to scare off the donors that make this lifestyle choice, who speak this language when you don't. We want to help you with these best practices. Be active in the community, be active on social media, plug into some new groups. A little bit of effort goes a long way. You cannot just expect to throw a donate crypto button on your page and have the gifts come rolling in. You need to activate these donors and create some strategy around your crypto philanthropy program if you want to see real results. Lucky for you, we have that strategy all mapped out. Our goal is to help you save time and maximize revenue. So Ryan, this sounds amazing. How do I get started? It's funny that you should ask. Here's a brief overview of the timeline to get you set up. So if you reach out to us and you want to speak about a demo, you can prepare for that internal conversation. Once you're approved, you'll open your exchange account. That's what grabs and converts the crypto to dollars. That takes about a week. You also create a non-cash assets page on your site. So when I type in donate crypto, nonprofit XYZ, I can find you. You have to announce that you're taking crypto stock and donor advised funds because your donors need to know that they can make this gift. They're not going to find it by accident. And then finally, you work with strategists to earn, convert, and steward these donors. So just a brief overview of the timeline to get set up. If you want a full demo, we'll drop a QR code at the end here that you can scan, and it'll take you to a page where you can jump right in and book a demo with one of us. It might even be me. I might even have another coffee. Let me pop a final poll in here to see if you'd like to meet with a member of our team. I hope everybody enjoyed this webinar as much as I did. So I'm just going to launch this poll really quickly. This will give you the ability to meet with somebody here, find out a little bit more about these younger donors, about the preferences that they make, about how to approach them. And then let's go ahead. and see if there are any questions. I don't think so. It's usually pretty straightforward, but I just want to make sure. Just give you another moment to respond. I have some of my coffee. I've been neglecting it. This is not a plug. I'm not sponsored, but I will say that this is a Yeti tumbler, and it does keep it very warm. Make of that what you will. Yeti, if you're out there, I want a sponsorship. All right. Do 10 more seconds. Rachel, you are going to get a copy of these slides in your email in the next few days, and this way you'll be able to show them to your leadership. And that's a great question. Just a second. We are making money with a percentage of each transaction that comes through the platform. And then depending on what kind of services you'd like from us, we have an array of different packages that you can choose from. And so there's an annual that's due at signing. And we're happy to figure out what package would make sense and what some of those costs would be. We definitely have some promotions running right now to encourage early onboarding, because we are going to see historically an enormous rush to join the platform as some of these gifts materialize towards the end of the year. And we are trying to make sure that that doesn't happen, and that traffic jam doesn't happen. So we are definitely promoting some of these packages in order to make it a little bit easier for orgs to join before things get crazy. But definitely follow up with us if you'd like to learn a bit more about it. Great question. Any other questions today? You guys have been really fantastic. Thank you very much for being a wonderful captive audience. And please let us know if you have any questions. We'd love to follow up. We'd love to chat more. That's exactly what we're here for. It has been an absolute pleasure. I hope everybody has a wonderful remainder of their Tuesday, and I will see you all around. Take care.